Hello and welcome to the Extended Greg YouTube channel. I'm Greg, and on today's show we're going to be assembling a 60-second timer from a kit as part of our ASMR soldering series. Before we get into that, if you have any ideas for topics for videos, be sure to leave them in a comment down below. Also, hit that like button. It really helps me out a lot. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, that way you know when future videos are coming out. But this video is going to be a bit of a long one, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so we have a fun little video for today. So we're going to be soldering together a quick 60-second DIY timer kit that I got off Amazon. So let's see how it goes. I haven't opened this yet, so let's see if it came with everything, and then also what the instructions say. Okay, so here we see the schematic. And here's the instructions. Right, so install resistors and diodes. Install the triode tubes. But install the drivers, install the capacitors, install the switch, install the buttons, install the buzzer, then we'll install the ICs, install the power supply socket, and finally we'll install the LEDs. So we're going to follow it in the order that it says. I don't know if that's the best course of action, but that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start by installing the resistors and the diodes. So let's take a look at the board. So this is the actual board, and we see there's quite a few LEDs, things of that nature. Probably going to want to bring out the solder hands just to hold this board while I work on it. But we'll see how that goes. All the soldering is going to be from the back. We see it's a very interesting design, so pretty much all of the LEDs are around in a circle, and they have to connect to decoders, things of that nature, in order to be able to determine which one is currently on. So on the back, we see they have some circular traces, and they've actually placed vias and things of that nature as strategic points to be able to share common buses amongst the LEDs, since there's obviously not going to be that many outputs. And I do believe this is based on a 555 timer. Yes, it is, right there. So there's not a lot of electronics and not a lot of intelligence or anything else like that going for this. It's just really just a capacitor-resistor relationship defining the time interval for the 555 timer. And that's what's actually going through and creating the ticks, and then there's counters involved to be able to light up the respective LEDs. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. So we'll follow the instructions as we go. So first thing we're going to do is the resistors. Just to make things easier, I'm actually going to go through and quickly just sort the materials. That way it's a little more at hand. Okay, so now we've sorted all of the parts. A lot of it is going to be very repetitive, but I think that's just fine. It's a nice we're going to have a nice little relaxing time today. So first thing is we're going to do diodes and resistors. And just because I'm too lazy to read the color code or try to read it, since a lot of the values are very similar, just a multiplier is going to be different, I am just going to take a tester to these to confirm. So here we have it set to ohms. So this is 6.8K. So blue, gray, red, gold. If we look, 6.8K. That's right there. So what we're going to do, we're going to push them through, bend the leads, we're going to push it through, and then bend the leads to the side so it holds it flush. Next one. And we're going to do a couple of these, and then we'll come back, quickly solder them in place. So you have a 1K resistor, brown, black, red, and gold. And the gold is the precision, but the other three colors are the ones that matter. So let's find a 1K resistor. And we see it right there. Right, so 1K. So let's bend in the leads and insert it. Okay, there we go. And of course, bending the leads once again. So that's about 0.5 kilo ohm, which is about 470. So the color on that is yellow, purple, red, gold. That's what it looks like. It's very difficult to see even in person, which is why I'm using the multimeter to make sure. So I'll take off the paper, bend the leads. Right. And we see there's a 470 right here. And I'm going to try and keep all of them pointed in the same, or at least a similar direction, just because I think it looks nicer when it's soldered. Okay. So our last single resistor. Then we have only about 7 more after this. And this is about 6.8 or so, or 6.7, 67, excuse me, or 68 kilo ohms. So let's see what we have on the board. We have 68K in R2 position. We'll take off the paper. We'll bend the leads. Right, and the color code for this is blue, gray, orange, and gold. And the R2 position says 68K. So we'll press that in there. And just to get it out of the way, I'm going to do the diode. And we see the diode goes right here, and we see the direction where the black line should be. So for this one, we'll also bend the leads. And we'll place that in as well. Okay, so we're getting there. Next we have two of the same resistor. So we'll measure that. These are about 22 kilo ohms. The color code on these: red, red, orange, and gold. So we'll find those two places. Pull off the paper. We'll pre-bend our leads. On our board, we see a 22 right here. And we see a 22 right here. Okay. And we'll bend the leads on that as well. Now on the bottom it's turning into a little bit of a forest. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place this down and I'm going to quickly solder these terminal connections. So I'm going to bring in our fume extractor. I'm trying a slightly different location for the fume extractor. I got an extension hose that I adapted for it. And that should hopefully cut down on the noise and improve the audio. To get to the resistor behind it, I'm going to trim these legs. Actually, it's a diode behind it. Is it at the square pad? So these are our connections thus far. So the final resistors are the 10K resistors. I'm going to turn off the fume extractor again so we don't have to listen to it. And just to be thorough, we'll test it anyway. Right, it is 10K. So we'll pull off the paper. Right, we'll pre-bend the leads. We have a 10K resistor here. I don't know if I said this, but the color code on this is brown, black, orange, and gold. So we'll put that in space for resistor 11. resistor 9. Resistor 3. Then resistor 7. And we have one more. Do you see where it goes? Goes right here in resistor 10. Okay. So that's all of our resistors. So let's solder these as well. So step 2 is to install the triodes. And we see there are 4 of them, so that should go pretty quick. Alright, and we see I have them organized right here. Just matching up with the picture, the flat side matching the flat side. And we're just going to seat them all the way down. We could leave a little bit of standoff room, but I don't think it's required in this application. And here's the final one. Okay, we're just going to make sure they're all standing up the way we want. Now let's solder these. We'll just trim the legs here to get to the ones in the back. Yes, I could turn it around the other way, but I think the legs would still be in the way. Okay, so if we look at the instructions, we can see on step 3, we need to install both the ceramic and electrolytic capacitors. So it does tell us which one is which, because I don't believe it's labeled on the board. No, it is labeled on the board. Right, so right there, there, and there. And I think there's one more right there. So the nice thing is they're different sizes, so it's pretty straightforward as to what's what. So we're going to do this in, I would say, an interleaved order, just to make everything easy. So I'm going to have the fume extractor on the whole time, just so I can solder these as I place them in. So you match up the side with the white stripe with the shaded in portion of the board. Okay, the next step is step 4, which we are attaching the switches. Luckily, there does not appear to be any polarity associated with these. So we have 2 of them. One for power and one for pause. This is where I start to run out of hands, but I think we can make this work. So I also want these to sit flush. So I'm going to do these one at a time. There's a capacitor that's right in the way. So I'm going to need to tack this quick. Alright. Just checking it is sitting flat. Excellent. The next step are the 2 push buttons. We'll do it in a similar way, but these held themselves in, so I can just insert them Polarity does not matter. And they'll just hold themselves in, so it's a little bit easier. For the next step, we're going to install the buzzer. And this is the buzzer right here. There's a plus sign which should match up with the longer leg. Right, nice thing is this is a tall component, so I can just set it down and apply pressure. Right, and it's sitting flat. The next step, we're going to install the ICs. And it shows specifically that the notches correlate to the notch shown on the PCB silkscreen. Right, so that notch there, that notch, etc. So we have our 555 timer. Use a screwdriver to assist. I don't have a IC puller. Okay, so there we go. So we'll spread the legs there a little bit just to keep it in place while we wait for the solder. So the next one is the 4069. Right. So this is the 4069. And I'll also need to bend these legs in a little bit. Alright, and the notch is pointing to the side that had the notch on the silkscreen. The next two chips are 4017. Right, this is one of them. So we'll bend the legs just a little bit without putting too much pressure on the die. We'll do this one first. That one easier. Just double check the notch matches. Then we'll do the other one. All right, and we see the notch. Perfect. So we'll solder these. that too. Doesn't feel like anything overheated. Excellent. The next step is to install the power supply socket. Which is this right here. Perfect. Yeah, in this case, there doesn't appear to be any reinforcement layer holding this on, so it has the potential to separate. So I'm going to see if I can use one of the scrapped pieces of wire as reinforcement. Make it a little more resilient. And the final step is to install the LEDs, and it has a note in red. Longfoot is a positive pole, welding to the square pad, which I mean soldering. This is a translation. So we just need to install all of the LEDs and make sure that the long leg goes to the positive side on the square pad. So I'm going to do the center one first, because I think it's going to be easier than trying to do it after. The unfortunate thing is these are not the tallest components. So usually I like to go from the lowest profile to the tallest, just that way it's going to sit neatly as I'm trying to solder it. But in this particular case, that wasn't possible to follow the instructions as well. Let's see what I have. Now let's try it like this. I'm just going to straighten these out before I solder the other side. Now I can just solder them normally. I definitely need to come up with a better solder fume extracting solution. But we're getting there. Almost done. Perfect. Okay, so we've finished the soldering portion of this, thankfully. Not at all tedious. Alright, so we have all of our LEDs installed. All of our solder connections done. So let's try it out. It should actually technically work at this point. So let's see what we get. Now this is USB powered, but it comes with a special cable, which is USB to barrel. Plug that in. That's really how much it sits, so okay. Actually, let me move the soldering mat out of the way. Right, so now this has become this. So I'm going to keep the buzzer covered just because I don't want it to be loud. We see the pause LED. We see the power LED. So we can start it. So that's it working right there. And we can start it, stop it, which also is reset. I'm not sure why pause should be stop and yeah. So the labeling's a little weird, but it does work. So we can pause it, we can resume it, we can reset it. See what happens if we try and start it. So it does start. We'll start it, we'll hit pause, we'll stop it, and pause. So it does resume on the last issued command, so to speak. So that's it. So that's our soldering project for today, which was the 60-second timer.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. If you'd like to see more videos as part of the ASMR soldering series, check out this playlist right here. Also, if you liked the video, be sure to hit that like button, and then leave a comment down below. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, it helps me out a lot, and then hit that notification bell, that way you know the next time we're getting extended. So until then, take care.